Are we live? Yeah, there we go. We are live. We are live. I was waiting on the graphic to pop up to let us know we are live tonight on the Believe in Monsters podcast. Lucas Berry, Chris Krogman, and your boy Joe Gaither here to talk about final cuts. The the Chicago Bears are now down to 53 men on the roster. It was final cut day. So we are here to talk about who made it, who did not make it. And we're going to have a great episode as we are now entering, we're 1 week away from game week. Next week, we'll be talking about those hated Green Bay Packers and what's it's going to be. But this week is all about final transactions. Who's going to be on this roster in the next 24 hours? We've got a nice picture on about who's making it right now, but our Chicago Bears have the number one overall waiver claim, waiver position, so our roster could look a little bit different. Before we get into the program, we want to encourage you to follow us on the Twitter machine at BIM_pod. Follow my friend Lucas Berry at LBerry_40. My man Chris Krogman at ShyBears1985. You can find the podcast anywhere that you get your podcast. Subscribe, rate, and review. We are proud partners of the Believe in Network. So let's get right into it. PJ Walker gets cut. Tyson Bagent makes the roster. And many more headlines. Lucas Berry, how are you doing, my friend?
I am doing fantastic. I am so happy that the preseason is finally over. The discourse around it is just outrageous at this point, nitpicking everything. The Bears played the Buffalo Bills and they did not play well. QB1 did not play well. And I just feel this huge dark cloud hanging over the Bears now, just mostly because what fans are saying and how negative everyone's being, even though last year, Justin Fields went out there and he looked like Peyton Manning versus the Browns. He threw 3 touchdowns. He was 14 of 16. He looked like he was going to be the MVP of the season. And, he shat the bed the first few weeks of the season. So, my main takeaway is most part, I feel like we avoided major injuries because Eberflus said, most of the guys will be healthy heading into week 1. So, that is my main takeaway from the preseason. I think it's bigger for, guys like our guy, Tyson Bagent, who we'll get into. But I am not worried about Fields like the majority of people here, and I am just ready for the season to start. Sick of the conversations. Bring on Green Bay. Chris, how you doing? Sorry, that was a long-winded intro.
Fine. I'm good. Was out of town last Wednesday through, I guess it was Sunday on a golf retreat.
Yeah. How'd you do on that? Fun. You didn't tell Joe or I.
Terrible.
You had to fill us in.
Terrible. But it was beautiful. So Mesquite, Nevada has 3 to 7 amazing courses out there in the desert. It wasn't that hot. It was probably like 102 tops, but it was still hot as heck by day 3 and exhausting. So we did not place well, and I haven't played much at all this season just because I tweaked my back and haven't been able to really do anything. But back to 100%, made it through the whole tournament alive and well. Had a few nice shots, had a few nice putts, so that was fun. Always keeps you coming back. But I am excited to get into this Bears 53-man roster. I mean, honestly, if I'm a Bears fan and I'm following Believe in Monsters podcast, these guys know what they're talking about. I mean, I think we nailed like every single thing that happened outside of like the 50th, 51st, and 52nd and 53rd guy. The last 4 guys on the roster, maybe we didn't nail down. But I mean, wide receiver room's almost dead on. Running backs are dead on. Quarterbacks, I mean, I'm as shocked as you are, Lucas, with PJ Walker, but I'm not.
I see. At the very least, I thought they would keep 3 quarterbacks, whether PJ was the 3rd or Peterman was the 3rd. I'm just kind of shocked they're going in with 2, but I mean, I know the argument that Peterman will definitely pass through waivers, and you can elevate him from the practice squad whenever. But regardless, I mean, you guys were all over how bad PJ Walker was, and I know. I was the stubborn one. I just didn't want to believe that the Bears were actually going to do it just because I don't know, man. The GM has stones of steel for that one, I would say.
I mean, for me, it's like, I think what I said on Twitter was like, at least we found out that Poles isn't going to let the money stand in the way of a good or bad player getting cut or making the roster. So
he's been consistent with that through now a season and a half now, because he made a lot of just, negative money moves in his first 6 months. Now, a lot of that was reshaping and retooling the roster, but it's basically been like, if you're not contributing, we don't care what your pay is. Get the bleep out of here.
Well, yeah, but he's scraped 2 of his own calluses, right? I mean, he brought in PJ Walker, he brought in Alex Leatherwood, and those were the very first 2 cuts. Hey guys, I fucked this one up. See you later. Have a nice day. We'll go get Dwight Freeney. Is that what you call him? Dan Feeney.
Dan Feeney.
Lucas Patrick with a mullet.
Mullet Patrick.
Dude, it is funny. They are like very, very just similar below average players that can play multiple spots on the interior. That is hilarious.
So, I mean, the other big news of the week was Trevis Gibson asking for a trade, or being told he could seek a trade. And the guy...
So he says on Twitter he never said it, though. That's what he tweeted out, that he never requested a trade.
I mean, so is that... I mean, there's okay. There's a couple different ways to look at it, because the wording was like, he was given permission to seek a trade. So does that mean like Poles is like, hey, it's down to you and Lewis, and we're taking Lewis. If you can go get us something for yourself, that'd be great. I mean, whatever, dude. Whether he asked for it or not, we're talking about a 5th-round guy that produced in the preseason. I mean, every year there's a preseason darling. Trevis Gibson was okay last year, but I mean, he got cut today. So, I mean, I don't know. Are we crying? Are we sad? I don't know.
Not sad. I think I kind of talked about this before the show. Dominique Robinson and Rasheem Green, I don't think have shown too much, at least on the preseason film. I know we talked about how some reports came out that they were having good camps or whatever, but the front office is definitely gonna tend to favor their guys, especially if there's a close decision. So I understand it. I just think the Bears' D end room is kind of bad. So cutting a guy who got you 7 sacks before 2 years ago, I don't know. I would have maybe kept him over Rasheem Green or Dominique Robinson, but I am willing to be proved wrong this season by either of them.
So when did he have these 7 sacks?
2 years ago.
So it wasn't in this system.
Was not.
Okay.
He still had more sacks in this system than Dominique Robinson last year. I just haven't seen Robinson do anything.
He probably had twice as many snaps as well. Robinson's a second-year defensive end. He played wide receiver up until like 2 years ago.
Oh, I get it. I'm just saying I haven't seen anything from either of them in the preseason.
From Robinson or who?
Green.
Oh, well, Green's
been hurt, right?
Green was hurt for a while.
And we don't care what the preseason. We don't care about the preseason anyways.
It's also like DeMarcus Walker's also been very hurt, which is shitty.
All right, Joe, I should rephrase what I'm saying, since I can tell you're being a little bit sassy over there.
You're right. Go ahead.
When the offense is running, very vanilla play calling and whatever, and, you're giving the quarterback whatever, 2 quarters and he looks bad, it's not the game plan you're going into the game with. For D-line, I feel like that's completely different. Either you're getting your ass kicked or you're not, in the trenches. And both the Titans week and the Bills week, we saw the opposing offense just march it right down our throat. We couldn't stop anything. Absolutely nothing. It was the ones versus the ones, and they just straight got their ass kicked.
That's what I'm really concerned.
I don't, sure, you could say, okay, the D coordinator will draw up some stunts, but I don't necessarily think that's the same as, calling a design QB run to start a game to get the quarterback in flow, per se, something like that. Right. I guess my point is that the D-line has definitely been concerning. One of my main takeaways from the preseason is that. We'll see.
Yeah, they're definitely concerning.
And I'm not expecting them to be good, but man, not great. Not great.
the biggest issue, and and that's what got me so riled up in week number 1 when Baylor had the turnover on the punt, is that if we are going to get our butt kicked up front, letting teams run down our throats every time that we do get a stop. I'm not going to say it's a miracle, but every time you get a stop, you absolutely have to take advantage of that turnover or of that change of possession. And so that's what really got me riled up the first week with Baylor, because I was seeing the Titans just hammer 5 yards, 4 yards, 6 yards, 12 yards, 4 yards, just right down your throat. And obviously it is a passing league, but if you can't stop the run, oh gosh, it's going to be a long 17 games playing defense. So, yes, Luke, you're right. It is all about, especially preseason. You can measure one-on-one reps. You can measure, did this guy get off his block, or did this guy set the edge? Did this guy maintain his gap integrity? Whatever the case may be, whatever the scheme is. And when it comes to defending the run, I mean, I thought that, honestly, and I guess we'll get into this in a little bit, but I thought that Poles' 2 draft picks, Pickens and Dexter, have looked better each and every week, just as far as what they're doing up front, and so that's encouraging. But it's going to take a unit of all all 4 guys, and then obviously the linebackers in flow as well, to stop the run, to force people to pass and force people to play against what I think is a nice secondary. So if you want to make them play against some of your better players, we're gonna have to buck up and stop the run.
If only there was a Hall of Fame defensive tackle available when we drafted number 9 overall in this previous draft.
I know you're just playing, but the reports coming out of camp are that he's looked insane. So
he'll look insane for about 30% of the play.
Man, Joe, that's
he's going to gas himself out.
I'll just tell you, Darnell Wright better be pretty damn good.
We don't need to be doing this for our own sanity. Darnell Wright is. I mean, the decision is made. The die is cast. Don't look down at Philadelphia. And look, he's also playing in a situation where he's going to catch a lot of one-on-ones.
That's
is really damn good.
I can't wait for that on Twitter if he has a great year and he's D-Rookie of the Year, and people are going to be like, he's only good because he's on a good defensive line.
No.
Oh, that's going to make my blood boil. I'm sorry, Joe, but to me, it is a pretty defining moment for Poles. I know you could say whatever we want regarding situation and he wouldn't act that way here or whatever. All I can say is Wright better be pretty damn good, or else that will not look good. And I think Wright will be good. I'm going to hedge it by saying that, but
I think you're getting yourself worked up over something that we're not going to be able to, like. This is the same thing with Mahomes and Trubisky. Yes, we should have drafted Mahomes, absolutely, but
that's a different situation, though. Mahomes was not the best player in his class going into the draft. Yes, that was always my argument, but Jalen Carter was far and away the best player in the draft.
Nah.
We're getting off topic, but
I don't know about that. Will Anderson can compete for that. All right, so I mean this defense is a work in progress, right? They went out, they spent a lot of money at linebacker. They got the pass rusher that we talked about a lot of the offseason. They hodgepodge together some other guys with Rasheem Green and DeMarcus Walker. Billings, from all accounts, has looked really solid at times in camp. But to your point, like with the Titans and the way they run the ball, specifically with their outside zone, basically just washed Billings completely out of the play, and his fat ass couldn't stop shit. So if somebody wants to power run against us, Billings is going to clog the lane. And Justin Jones flash, but I mean, like you're going to have snaps with Billings and Dexter in there where they're going to, it's going to look really solid, or Pickens and Jones in there at the same time, and it's going to look fine. But a lot of it was not great. But it's a hodgepodge bullshit, dude. There's no star on that defensive line.
No, and honestly, I do think maybe I think the argument you could make about preseason not being everything, Joe, is that, I mean, in my opinion, I know. We can say what we want about the defense last year. I've never been a big fan of Alan Williams, but they really might need to blitz a lot this year to kind of cover up that D line. I mean, it's not going to be a great defense. They're going to be feisty. They're going to be tenacious. But, I do think, like, especially week one, they have to find ways to make Jordan Love, win the one-on-one matchups. They have to blitz him. They have to help the D-line out a little bit, between, Edmonds and Edwards, the double E or whatever you want to call it, and Sanborn or Sewell if he's available. They're going to have to send pressure to help this D-line out for sure.
Yeah, because you're going to get Green Bay trying to protect Jordan Love, and they're going to try to take an Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon hammer over and over and over. That's what I'm worried about.
You got to give him the Mitch treatment.
Kyler Gordon's going to get them blitzes on.
Gordon, yep, I didn't mention him. That's absolutely Chris. Well, you guys want to hop into the roster here, and we'll start at the top with the QB. I mean, we had some pretty breaking news the other day. What did you guys think of, your boy PJ Walker being cut and the Bears rolling with Fields and Tyson Bagent as QB2, the undrafted rookie from Shepherd?
Well, at the time, we didn't know that Bagent was going to be 2. Most people speculated, but I think Peterman still had an outside chance of being the veteran backup and Bagent being QB3, and that they kept 3 quarterbacks. I think, like, at the time of the Walker cut, there still was a chance that they kept 3 quarterbacks. It's a little surprising that they're going to roll into the season with an undrafted free agent rookie behind a running quarterback that, missed a couple games last year, missed snaps last year. To the point of Peterman, he could probably just slip through the practice squad and be called up at any point. But as far as PJ Walker getting cut, I'm not shocked. He sucked.
Yeah, he did not play well.
It was obvious. I mean, obviously you take the money as a factor, but put your eyes on the actual play. It was obvious. That guy had no business playing, playing professional football. I mean, he might land somewhere, but he doesn't have any business playing with this team or chemistry with this team. And so I would have been upset if he made the roster. I would have been upset if he made the roster because he looked like the bottom of the trash can.
He looked like an XFL player.
Yes.
Yeah, he looked horrible.
Dude had a nice little run last year, and then he's not just gonna tell you he's somebody new after being the person that was in the XFL for a while. I'm not surprised. I mean,
he was a practice squad hero, and before the XFL, he is what he is.
I guess my bigger point is that I am more shocked that. I mean, I understand Bagent's played really well, but just the fact that they're if Fields gets hurt, you're going in the game versus the Packers, and with Fields' play style, he's almost guaranteed to get hurt this year.
All right, Luke,
knock on wood.
In Eberflus's shoes, if Fields is hurt, who would you have rather played based on what you've seen so far? You wouldn't have thrown Peterman out there over Bagent?
I would probably
get the bleep off this podcast because I'm questioning.
I told you before I would have played a veteran quarterback. I just think going from D2 football to an actual starting defense is crazy. But you know what? Good for the kid. I'm rooting for him, and I'm here for it. I mean, the Bears aren't winning the Super Bowl this year. You might as well see what you have in him. So, good. I am all for it. Like I said, I'm just more shocked than anything because generally that's not how NFL teams work. I feel like they'll normally always go with the veteran and try and bring the young guy along, but. Fuck it. I'm with it.
Well, Peterman's gonna exactly what Chris just said. Peterman's available if you want, and you have the emergency third quarterback on the roster every game day. So he's gonna be on the roster. He's gonna be on the
Joe. I'm just not used to it, man. Like I said,
I think he has to be on the active roster, Joe. He can't.
He does.
He can't just dress because he's on the practice squad.
Right.
He has to be on the 53.
Well, right. Then watch what happens over the next 48 hours. I bet he lands
there. Yeah. Yeah, and we'll get into all that, Lucas. So, any other dead horses that we want to beat on PJ Walker Road? Because
no,
I'm not. We've been talking about it.
I never want to hear his name
again. I do want to bring this up because I think this is kind of ironically funny, but I think Bagent does a lot of things well that Fields does not do well, and it's I'm sure we're going to hear this discourse sometime this season that Bagent will be able to operate the offense or whatever better, whatever. I don't want to hear that, but I do think it's hilarious that like I would probably tell you that Bagent has a better decision making and a much quicker release than Fields does. At least from what I've seen, he knows where he wants to go with the ball, but you're kind of just getting what you get out of him. I didn't really see him push the ball downfield or anything like that. I just think it's ironically funny at the end of the day that
the only way he ends up in that situation is if we have a Brock Purdy, Trey Lance situation, which
I am by no means indicating that he's going to take over Fields. I'm just saying,
I don't think Purdy took over. I mean, Lance got hurt and Purdy got a shot. I mean, if Bagent gets a shot, that's the only chance he's going to get. He's not going to overtake Justin Fields.
Tyson Bagent is like every, I guess, West Coast offense's coach, wet dream. Like that's what Nagy was trying to turn Fields into, essentially, is what you're seeing out of Tyson Bagent. Quick slant, just throw it inside, just get the 3 or 5 step drop and get the ball out. That's it.
Hey, his dad's a professional arm wrestler. Dude's tough.
I love it, man. And then like I told you, I just found out that he played in my college's conference. I guess they transferred over after I graduated there, but it's cool to know that he's a Southeastern Pennsylvania Conference player.
What's the biggest question mark, or where's the biggest roster spot that we should start with? Is it offensive line? Is that really where we're at? Or I feel like the receivers were pretty obvious. I mean, sorry, Dante Pettit, you're gone. Bye-bye.
Well, he didn't even play all camp. He just was, like Chris said, you can't make the club if you're in the tub. The dude was never out there.
So, like, I understand Tyler Scott, was a 4th-round draft pick. Are you guys concerned at all about his preseason?
I didn't even really. I was trying to find. Like, I couldn't find him out there half the time.
I mean, that's part of it. I mean, that's part of it, right? I mean, if he's not on the field that much, and when he is on the field, he's dropping punts, or he didn't drop a punt. He fumbled a football, and did he have a?
He had a 58-yard kick return this week in that position.
Yeah.
That was good. No, but I hear you, Chris. No, I really haven't, he's been a nobody at all in preseason. But, also, if you ask me, what Darnell Mooney did the year, he was drafted, I couldn't tell you if he was good or bad in the preseason or not at all existed. I have no idea.
I don't know. No, I don't have a clue. But, yeah, so, I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, in reality, you're not running 4 or 5 wide receiver sets that much. I mean, most of the time, your guys are going to be commit, maybe split out. We saw that a lot this week, which is weird. Mooney, Moore, sometimes Claypool at the most, and then you'll have those occasional packages for Velus and Tyler Scott, but I don't really see him, being on the field that much, unless it's an obvious passing down.
Can he play on at least kickoff and punt coverage?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think he's been playing gunner, and he did return that kick, and he looked really good. So, yeah, who knows? But I really don't. He'll have to work his way into the field for sure, and we know injuries happen and stuff like that. So I'm sure he'll get his chance at some point, but I don't think we'll see a ton of him right away. Besides on special teams, to be honest. So
Bayless and Chase Claypool will bruise their vaginas, and he'll get out there.
Whoa, Joe! Whoa!
Sorry, they're both soft as shit.
There's nothing wrong with having a vagina, Joe.
No, there's not. But they'll get a bruise somewhere. They'll stub a toe. They'll break a pinky finger, and they'll miss 6 weeks.
Has Felix ever had that issue? I mean, has he ever had an injury issue, or is it more just drop punts that we're concerned about with Velus Jones?
All right, so the thing with Velus is he was supposedly having a really good camp until he dropped that punt, and then everyone just started shitting on him because he dropped the punt. But supposedly he had a really good camp, and back to my point about, obviously they're going to give the guys many chances as they can. They draft him in the 3rd round, whatever. But Pulse kind of spoke pretty highly of him when he was asked about him and said he saw enough out of him on offense to think that they can kind of extract more out of him. Yeah, I mean, all things considered, he had 2 deep touchdowns. Could have had 2 more if he didn't drop them. So, the playmaking ability's there. It's just putting it all together for that guy.
I like this page, injuryhistory.com. Yes, Velus Jones, thigh hamstring, thigh hamstring pull, pedal foot, ankle, arm, elbow.
Pedal foot?
Are they just making things up over there?
Yeah.
Pedal
Yeah.
foot?
Yeah, Joe. I look up my injury history on there. It'll tell you I have daisy foot.
Well, this was back when he was in Tennessee and back when he was at USC. So his most recent injury was September 5th, 2022, thigh hamstring strain, grade 2. Hurt in practice ahead of week number 1.
Pedal foot.
Projected games missed in 2023, 1.9.
That's crazy. It gives you a projection, too. That's so random.
Do we care if he's had if he misses 2 games? I mean,
I guess the overlying question is no, I'm not really shocked at anybody in this wide receiver room being there or not being there.
Yeah. Yep.
ESP is going to be paving the way from the outside. Run
Word grader, baby. Word grader St. Brown.
Dude, we're going to need to run the damn ball again.
We didn't really talk about the running backs, but I mean, Travis Homer did make it, which, I mean, I said there was an outside chance he could be cut, but I think for the most part we agreed that, those 5 guys would make it. So no shocks there. Tight ends.
Sad.
He wasn't, I mean, he started off and had a decent camp, but he got hurt and then just couldn't get it back on the field. So, again, Ryan Poles letting go of his guy a year into it and just cutting the cord. So can appreciate that.
Cutting the cord on concussion protocol, Tristan Ebner.
Tight ends, Komet, Mercedes Lewis, Robert Tonyan. No shocks at all. We can dive into O-line. Larry Bourne, Ja'Tyre Carter, Nate Davis, Dwight Freeney, Tevin Jenkins, Braxton Jones, Doug Kramer, Lucas Patrick, Cody Whitehair, Darnell Wright make the team. So 10 offensive linemen. The Bears traded for Dwight Freeney yesterday, a.k.a. Lucas Patrick with a mullet. How do you guys feel about this unit? And, yeah, I mean, there was no major surprises here. They let go of Leatherwood. I guess I don't know. I thought Leatherwood had an outside chance, all things considered, especially making $4 million, but they ended that project. So
Doug Kramer making it's kind of surprising, but I mean, at this point, centers are dropping like flies.
Dude, insane.
Dan Feeney hasn't. I mean, he's played center, but he hasn't taken a snap in this offense yet. Whitehair has to fill in at guard. Patrick gets hurt every other play. You want to talk about a broken vagina? That guy's hand is a labia. Yeah, and they all hurt their hand. It's always their hand,
None of them want to play center, dude.
Dude, like if they were playing guard, it wouldn't be their hands. Something else would be breaking down. But
Fields is going to audible at the line with the new guy by yanking his mullet. He gives him a tug on which side he wants them to pull to.
Well, Chris is hitting my biggest concern is durability. It's like you heard polls and you've heard Eberflus saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be ready for week 1. Everybody's on track." But
they haven't played together.
What happens when Kenny Clark punches one of those bastards in the mouth? Like,
in the hand, dude.
In the hand, yeah.
Even worse.
Like,
you don't want to be punched in the hand, especially if you're a center.
Like, that's hugely concerning for me. The chemistry or lack thereof, and then the health. Those are hugely concerning to me because I was 4 weeks ago, and this is my dumb blue and orange glasses. Oh, this could be a top 10 offense in the league. If the offensive line does their job and gels together and plays well. They have not played at all together through preseason. And I don't give a shit about preseason reps in games, but you got to be at practice together. You got to be at practice together, do the live drills against the Colts together. They didn't have any of that. And so I really, truly don't care about the preseason game reps. but there was no practice time together. And so what happens against Kenny Clark and them boys week number 1? He's gonna fucking devour some of those guys. Somebody's gonna get a missed call. Somebody's gonna get an audible, and they're gonna fucking miss it. And Khalil Herbert's gonna be flat on his ass. That's our best hope, honestly.
They're gonna do a tackle trap inside and let Darnell Wright just smash him. Right
No,
now.
did you guys see the video of this? What's his name? What is this guy's name?
Dan
Feeney. The Jets used him
Mr.
at
Feeney
fullback.
from Boy Meets World.
The Jets used him at fullback sometimes last year as like a pulling fullback.
I thought he was a tight end. I thought they moved him to tight end.
Oh, maybe it was that. I don't know. He crushed some poor cornerback from the backfield. But yeah, he might be this thing is crazy that we don't even know who the week 1 starter is. I mean, all right, when Whitehair hurt his hand, we all kind of were shocked because it wasn't really big news, but they kind of just gently put it out there that the Bears had Kramer taking snaps. We're like, well, what happened to Whitehair? Oh, he hurt his snapping hand. All right, at first I thought, okay, maybe that's a blessing in disguise. We don't want this guy snapping anyway. No, it's not. Not when Lucas Patrick can't ever get on the field. When was the last time that guy played? And then
Green Bay.
Yeah, and then what's his name? Creamer, fucking Vanilla Creamer out here goes in the Bills game and breaks his finger or whatever he did. He hurt his hand. What did you say?
He cut his hand.
He cut his hand.
It was like a heavy wrap. Yeah. Like there's these big metal things on people's helmets that like lacerate hands at times.
So is he like able to snap again? I don't know.
I don't know.
Just
Dr. James Andrews
7 games last year for us. His last game was on October 24th, 2022. I guess that's against the Patriots. That's the Monday Nighter against the Patriots last year.
Oh, I remember that. I was there.
So he was great. See, when he's in there, they win big.
Oh, you weren't that? All right, 1, 2. No, actually, you're right. All 3 wins last year came when he played.
He played 7 games, and 50% of them they win. Oh my god!
He has as many wins as Fields has.
He took 47% of the snaps against San Francisco in that victory. He took 65% of the snaps against Houston, and he took 14% of the snaps against New England.
Wait, is that because they were doing that stupid rotation shit in game 1 with him and Tevin?
Oh, yeah, they were doing that. I forgot about that.
God dang it.
Well,
and that's according to Pro Football Reference, not But Correct Sports.
So I wouldn't say there's any major shock about the roster here, just straight concern because these guys have not played together all preseason. Darnell Wright barely played in the 1 preseason game. That's all we got to see of him. I mean, he looked fine, but he played literally a handful of plays. Nate Davis, No Pads Nate, is never out there for whatever reason. There was a weird thread by one of those off-brand accounts that tweeted out this whole thread about him and Eberflus got dinner multiple times, which I don't even know if that's true. Just sounded like this fat bastard wanted to eat pizza. He doesn't care about playing.
Giordano's, baby.
What did the thing say? It was like Eberflus convinced people this is how they make more money. And I'm like, he just got paid 3 years, $30 million. I don't think he wants more money. I think he just doesn't want to practice.
That's my biggest
so he's barely been out there. And then, like we said, we've had the carousel at center. So we don't know what is going on there. The only really steady person has been Braxton Jones, and he's looked solid so far. So
Darnell Wright hasn't missed any shit. Darnell Wright's been fine.
Didn't he end up with an ankle?
Oh, he got hurt and he hasn't played.
Yeah, well,
I don't know the last time he practiced. And then
our best bet is Khalil Herbert getting hit in the backfield. My nightmare is somebody walking through free and just ear-holing Justin Fields. And at that point, look, it's on with Tyson Bagent. And oh my God.
Well, at least we'll move the ball and somebody will get the ball out of their hands in time. Jesus. Won't even need an offensive line. He'll just throw it so quick, it just won't even matter. Timing is everything.
Dude, that is so unbelievable that in that game he threw a touchdown pass that the guy dropped, and then the very next play, he
Throws
threw
a
the
pick.
worst interception I've ever seen.
Dude, that was all on Fountain, dude. Fountain
And
ran
Carlson got him.
completely
definitely-
wrong
He definitely ran the wrong route.
Y'all think Carlson
Two
makes
guys-
the roster if he catches that touchdown pass?
No way.
No.
But it's fun to joke about the two of them getting cut because of those two plays back to back. Darius Fountain actually played well in the preseason. I hope he lands somewhere and does well.
He'll land on the
yeah,
practice squad. I
I hope so. I guess my question to you guys is, what do you think this move they made yesterday signifies? I mean, it could mean a million things. They could just want more depth. But according to Matt Eberflus, everybody besides Tevin Jenkins will be ready week 1. I mean, what do you guys make out of this Feeney move? Do you think Eberflus is lying? Do you think they're just not comfortable with the center position with any of them guys? Do you think they're desperate and just needed to trade for someone? Do you think, do you think this means something about maybe they don't feel comfortable with Jatir Carter playing guard? Like, what do you guys take from this trade at all?
It's a 6th round pick, and I take it as nothing more than a depth piece insurance in case we have a continued string of injuries throughout this interior offensive line.
So-
Feeney brings them a very versatile player that has had a lot of snaps at all 3 interior line positions. I think that's it.
So do you think Eberflus is telling the truth, though, and that all their starters will be healthy and he'll just be, on the bench week 1?
I
For
think.
the first 5 plays of the game.
Oh, I don't think he's going to play week 1. No.
For the first.
All right, well, that's my question. Like, are you buying that Eberflus is saying these guys are healthy and this is just depth? If that's great, that's best case scenario to me.
Healthy and will play are 2 different things.
I think they're all going to.
They are.
Patrick is going to play whether or not he's healthy. They're like Luke Getsy is like, listen, bitch, I brought you over here with me. Don't make me look stupid. Get out there and take some snaps.
Yeah, I think they're all going to be available for week 1. But how many snaps are you going to get? Are you going to get slapped in the hand, or are you going to get? Are you going to get stepped on? Are you going to pull your calf? Is your back going to hurt, Nate Davis? What like? How many snaps are you going to? Are these guys aren't? To me, I'll be more surprised. It will surprise me more if you finish week 1 with the 4 guys minus Jenkins, with the 4 guys at the end of the game, than if you haven't made a move mid game because somebody got a boo boo and had to walk into the training tent and sat out the rest of the game.
So
Nate Davis's back hurts from carrying that big bag of money.
Kenny Clark is going to high five Lucas Patrick and break his hand, dude.
Yes.
It's going to happen. He'll be like, hey, man, I miss you. Boom. Broken hand.
Rashawn Gary's back. Man, I am feeling less confident by the day about these matchups.
Yeah, no, not good.
It's gonna. I got my stupid Packers fans friends. It's gonna be fun. It's not gonna be fun.
No, it's going to be absolutely anxiety ridden for Bears.
I still think the Bears have to win this game, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But
absolutely have to. But we're not going to talk about that game this week.
And we won't.
No, I'm just
Um,
defensive line. I have the same concerns. I mean, you flip the other side of the ball. You got Billings, Dexter, Rasheem Green, Justin Jones, Terrell Lewis, Yannick, Pickens, Robinson, DeMarcus Walker. I mean, when was the last time we seen DeMarcus Walker out there? He was one of their big free agent acquisitions. Couldn't tell you the last time he played.
I mean, are we just going to be sad this whole episode?
I'm being serious. Like,
That's fucking fine. It's week 1. Fuck, man. Are you not happy about any of these defensive linemen? You're like, oh, they're all a bunch of fucks. Like, kick them all to the curb.
Pickens
kind
and
of.
Dexter, I would just put those 2 guys out there and say, what do you got? Everybody else is just the most average piece of shit that you
Dude,
could find.
Joe, you got to be excited to have your boy from Bama bounce back and be an
wearing
absolute
Khalil
terror.
Mack's number.
Wearing Khalil Mack's number.
My excitement is 0
I
because
am excited for Terrell Lewis. I do want to just.
Sad.
because I
Dude,
feel
when-
like is the switch going to be on all the time?
If
All
and
right.
when we finally get into like a 3rd and 14, which is maybe twice this year, and you're gonna see Terrell Lewis and fucking Yannick Ngakoue just go at it at the quarterback. Probably
Yeah,
get lost.
on those 2 snaps, his switch will be on, and
Hey.
that'll be fun.
Hey,
He
we
will
got to get him
2
in those
stops off
situations.
of him.
And then they'll get pulled right off.
98%. He's going to be bullied down the field, and he's not going to. He's going to be.
No, Joe. It's 3rd and 14. Those two will be on the field. The other team will get a first down when Tyreek Stevenson gets a pass interference 30 yards down the field, and then those two get pulled.
Yeah,
get in there, Rasheem Green.
Terrell Lewis will come around the edge and tomahawk down right on a quarterback's head. And instead of getting a sack fumble, it'll be, we're roughing the passer, first down.
Now, Chris, to be honest with you, I'm just more down on the injuries with this. It's just there's just so many injuries that I have a lot of questions that I just along both. I mean, it's not as bad on the D line, but like Walker was whatever they paid him, 1 year $9 million or 2 years $9 million. You know, they gave him a day 2 contract to be a decent player for him. So it's just a big question mark, and
we just don't know. But like
I hope he's ready to go.
All in camp before the preseason started, all we heard about was what a leader DeMarcus Walker was. So the guy's hurt. Okay.
It's just a bad taste going into the season. That's all.
Yes.
And that's probably where all this, sadness and doom and gloom is coming from. But I hear you. The season hasn't even started yet.
It's the bad taste, the injuries, the unknown, and it's the week 1 opponent and the magnitude of week 1 in my mind. And just the realizing or the stupidness of this, the meathead moment of if we lose week 1, the whole season's in the tank. I know we saw it in 18. Week 1 loss didn't tank the whole season. You went out and you won the division anyways, and great. Matt Nagy's little circus clown actually was a good year. But, like, to me, I don't want to think about week 1 at all. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to experience. I know it's coming. It's coming in, it's coming in 4 plus 7 is 12 days. You're 12 days away, and I'm just feeling like I'm going to hear all the goddamn Packers fans. Well, see, we did it again. Jordan Love.
He muted himself. He got so riled up.
I just cannot do it.
Dude, listen, I've been saying all offseason to temper expectations.
Yes.
Do I have my own meatball bullshit where I'm like, yeah, I think we could go 7-9 if things go well, or 7-10 or whatever. Boys, we were 3-14 last year. Let's not pretend like we can address every single situation in the offseason. I mean, offensive line, they addressed the biggest problem with right tackle. Didn't expect there to be a just rash of injuries going through. Probably could have or should have, made a move for a center or drafted a center at some point. Just with what's going on. But I mean, look, they drafted a guy in Dexter who they think has a lot of upside. They can't do defensive tackle and defensive end and wide receiver, which they addressed with DJ Moore, and freaking everything else. There's only so much you can do in one single offseason, which is what I've been saying. I don't know, probably since May. But it's still exciting. And yeah, it's fucking the Packers. And it's anxiety ridden. But so what? It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Fun?
It'll be
It's
fun.
going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Yeah, I promise. It'll be fun.
I feel like
A woman?
yes. Man, I feel like a woman.
Are you even old enough to know what that song is, Lucas? That's hilarious.
I just feel like the starving child, and there's an actual meal that's on the table week 1, and we have to eat it. We have to go take it and eat it. But no, the Packers, those fat bastards, they can skip a meal. So yeah, it's fun for us. It's fun to toy with. It's fun to toy with the Bears. It's fun to the Bears still. The song, "The Bears Still Suck." The Bears still suck. It's just.
It's true.
And maybe I've talked myself into it. That goes back to 4 weeks ago. I thought I had a feeling that, oh, wow, if Justin Fields, these weapons that we've got, if the dang offensive line, if that piece, the offensive line is 16th or better, not even 16th or better, I believe in the magician that is Justin Fields. I think that he is.
Hey,
And you know what? He looked like dog shit on Saturday. And
Well, yeah, I mean,
I'm trying
offensive
not to
line-
overreact to that. You're right. The offensive line wasn't even there.
Offensive line gave him a pocket and he ran anyway. I mean, this is the same
He
shit we
ran
saw
out
last
of
year.
it. Yeah.
He ran away from a perfectly clean pocket. And, you know, this offensive line would be fine if we just had a QB that could operate this offense and, like, not miss wide receivers. Like, he threw it at Cole Kmet's feet twice. Like, I thought my TV glitched out, but it was the same fucking play 2 times and he nailed him in the feet. And if you could read a defense faster. I mean, these are the same problems we've been dealing with since, like, he was gifted all the talent in the world at Ohio State.
So should we just so here we are 12 days away. Should we
Start Bajan? Yes.
should we just punt the season and go all in for Caleb Williams?
That's what you two fuckers sound like right now. Oh, the offensive line. Oh, the defensive line. Oh, my God, the Packers. Oh, my God. We're skinny kids and they're fat kids.
I mean, you got to go. What you take the Carolina pick and you go out and you.
All right, you're getting way off topic there, Mr.
Oh,
Gaither. We are talking about the roster right
It's
now, and you're
so
talking
much
about the
fun.
Carolina
This
pick.
is so much fun.
This
All
guy
right.
must be great at parties.
So the
I'll mute him
linebacker.
for a minute.
The linebacker situation is pretty much what we thought it was. The only surprise I saw was Dylan Cole over like
Special
other-
teams ace, baby.
Well, yeah, and that's why he made it. But like I thought Baskerville was pretty solid, and so was Michael Walker was pretty solid in the preseason. But just
So,
guys. So no
What
big
is
deal.
what is up with Michael Walker? So like we dropped him. Now if another team picks him up, who do they just pick up his Falcons contract? Or like is that on our books? What is the deal with that?
Well, he's not. He has to go through waivers still.
Right.
Because he's not. I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm
Probably
pretty
our
sure
contract.
there was some kind of weird like I don't know. It was just had a weird name to it that I've never heard of that like I don't think we have to pay him the money. I think like whoever picks him up like inherits his contract or something like that. But anyway, I mean, yeah, I thought he had an outside chance of making it, but I guess Dylan Cole provides more on special teams and he could also be a guy that if they pick someone up off waivers, he could be one of the first that they'll have to trim off the 53, depending on how many guys they have to put on short-term IR or whatever.
Right.
So, and then just so everyone listening knows, waivers, I think, process tomorrow at 11 a.m. or something like that. So we should know who the Bears got, depending on who they put in claims for tonight. And the Bears are first, so they have their first pick of whoever they want, and they can pick up as many players as they want in that slot before other teams even get a chance.
How many? So we saw what last year?
Bailey
5?
Zappi.
Did we see 5 last year?
Oh, is that what it was? I only really remember Leatherwood. I don't remember the rest of them.
I feel like it was 5. There was a shit ton. Whatever the number was, it was a shit ton.
Well, before we go too far down the rabbit hole, though, I mean, I mentioned Dylan Cole as a possible guy that could be cut off the roster that made it today if they need to make space. But, I'm kind of assuming Tevin will be on IR and probably Noah Sewell might be on short-term IR. And there might be another player in there who goes on some kind of IR that will open up roster spaces. So perhaps they have to cut nobody. Just saying, the roster is finalized for today, but it will change again tomorrow and probably again before week 1. So,
Right.
but,
Well, all right. Let's bust through these last few positions before we start, finding who our next free agents are. So at cornerback, this is kind of an interesting room. The 3 starters with Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson, and presumably Tyreek Stevenson. And then you got Josh Blackwell, who played well at the end of last year. Same with Jalen Jones. And then you have Terrell Smith, who played well in the beginning of the preseason. The guy, Lucas, that we were talking about before we started was Greg Stroman Jr. was basically the third guy that is like Jalen Jones and whatever that other guy's name is. I just said his name. God dang it. Josh Blackwell. So what's his name? Kendall Vildor was a starter last year and got cut. I know we've been talking I get it. I know we've been talking shit all preseason about that, but to me, that's a step in the right direction. I mean, if he went from a starter last year all the way to off the roster, I feel like they upgraded multiple times to feel good about that.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on this cornerback room? I mean, I don't think there's any.
That's my favorite position on the team.
Yeah, no major questions. I mean, I think we've all kind of mentioned Josh Blackwell in spurts before, whether it's special teams or when he even got time at corner last year, how he's not a bad player. I guess I'm not really shocked, but Jalen Jones being on there is also cool. He was he an undrafted free agent last year?
I can't recall.
Yeah, because you had Jalen Jones and Jalen Johnson, and we kept messing those.
Yeah, I know, but is that where he came from?
I'll be able to tell you in 2 seconds.
Well, anyway, to your point, Chris, I don't think there's any super major surprises there. Bears trotting out Stevenson as their starting corner week 1, so that'll be interesting.
Answer is yes, undrafted free agent.
Yeah, I think not to be Mr. Negative, but I do think Tyreek Stevenson's going to be. I think he'll be kind of exactly what you see in the preseason. That guy's going to be a freaking roller coaster. He's going to make an insane interception on a really good receiver, and then other times he's just going to make some boneheaded plays and get penalties. So we'll see with him. It's going to be a work in progress. I kind of see him similarly to like Kyler Gordon last year, where he's going to need some development, but it'll be a fun roller coaster at least. And we know week 1 the Packers are going to throw at him a lot.
I welcome that. I think he's a gamer.
The
corners that we have right now. I'm trying to think if there's any other position I feel more confident in. Maybe
he's very confident, but even when he had his pick versus the Bills, they could have definitely thrown a flag for taunting because he was basically on the Bills sideline, taunting them with the ball and shit. And that's just who he is, but you can't be doing that shit in the regular season.
No, yeah. But
he's fun to watch, though. He
typical Hurricane.
Brings a lot of swagger to the D.
Hey,
he was originally a Georgia Bulldog.
Typical Hurricane. Catholics and convicts, man. All right. So Michael Ojemudia was the only one that I thought was potentially going to make it at cornerback, but I mean, he's probably another one that's the same exact dude as all the guys that made it.
You're going to have to get rid of him on your Madden roster.
Not true. He can stay. I don't know if you know this, but you're allowed to do whatever you want on Madden. I mean, just listen.
They won't update him out of the game.
No, not when I'm on like year 3 of my franchise.
Not when he's up to a 90 overall.
Dude,
you keep developing him.
He's legit. I give him so many points, and he's good. Rounding out the defense at safety is Jaquan Brisker, Eddie Jackson, Elijah Hicks, and AJ Thomas. No surprises there.
I think Elijah Hicks has come a long way since last year, to be honest. I mean, the Bears took him super late last year. He was really just a special teamer. We didn't see him, at all. I kind of just thought he would be a special teamer, but the fact that they're keeping him as a backup safety, I think is telling on, how far he came along. Because they did cut Kendall Williamson, who they drafted this year in the last round as well, and kept him over him. So, interesting. I mean, I'm not shocked. I'm just, good for him that he's developed, and it seems like Poles kind of found another solid player in the late rounds, even if he just mostly does contribute on special teams.
Hey, they're called special teams for a reason.
Because they're special?
Yes, they are. It's the forgotten phase, and we need to be good at it.
I thought the fourth phase, the fans, was the forgotten phase, but the Bears like to talk about it. No.
Overall, I think this DB room is going to bring a ton of swagger to the defense, though. Between Brisker and Jackson, those guys talk a lot of shit. And then you got the new kid Tyreek in there. It's going to be fun. They are going to. I feel like they're going to cause some shit in the field.
You know what we didn't talk about?
Who did we not
talk about the Darnell Mooney potential trade rumors.
I don't believe them.
Brad Spielberger dropping some surprise trade candidates, but he doesn't just talk out of his ass.
Yeah.
These NFL countdown, whatever. One of these bootsy accounts that throw us out shit on Twitter.
Yeah, no, Brad is normally pretty reliable with his info, and he's pretty spot on. And I think just to add context to this, the accounts just retweet the fact that it's rumored that the Bears are shopping Mooney. But if you actually read the article, it's just Brad's own idea, and his reasoning behind it is the Bears added Claypool and Moore in an offense that already won't pass a lot. And supposedly, Mooney wanted to get a deal done before the season, and it seems like Poles is really going to make Mooney and Claypool kind of battle it out for who gets the contract extension. So
I don't know how you can't.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Two men enter, one man leaves.
He was just suggesting that, that might make Mooney upset, and, the Bears could potentially trade him.
I see upset.
No way of that happening. The only way I could see them trading Mooney is, to Chris's point earlier, is if Tyler Scott kind of comes out of nowhere and develops into that role. Then you have a younger, cheaper Darnell Mooney on your hands there. But ultimately, they're going to let this thing play out. And, the Bears finally have weapons for the first time in however many years. They're not just going to start getting rid of them just because.
No, I agree. Well, gentlemen, the specialists, Trenton Gill, Cairo Santos, and Patrick Scales are the final 3 of the 53. It's all going to change tomorrow. I think that, like Lucas, you brought up his name earlier. The punt returner from Cincinnati is the only guy that I've even seen Bears fans wanting to claim off of waivers. Tell us about this fella.
Say it again. I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
Jesus Christ. The Cincinnati punt returner that the Bears fans want to claim off of waivers.
I'm blanking on his name right now. Is it Trent Taylor?
Yes. So, there you go.
Trent Taylor, right? No, he's a really solid punt returner, and immediately when they cut him, I think it was Rap that tweeted. It was I think Rap tweeted that he was a big surprise cut that no one thought would be out there. He averaged, I think, over 15 yards a punt return last year, which was pretty insane. He is definitely one of the. I think this would be kind of a similar acquisition to like when we got Jakeem Grant. He's kind of in that vein where he's a really good special teamer, and occasionally you can use him on offense. But at this point, we talked about this before the show. The Bears need a experienced person back there fielding punts. From everything we've heard, Tyler Scott has struggled to do it. Velus obviously has struggled to do it, and they got rid of Pettis, so that guy's not on the roster. I think this could be, an easy shoe-in for. I think this could be an easy shoe-in for him to just claim him and use him as a punt returner. You can't be losing this game at all. You can't win with a punt returner, but you can sure damn lose a game with one.
Daggum right.
So
do you bring him in and kick
absolutely
Velus in the ass? Kick Velus out of here?
No. Velus is your kick returner. He was really good at that last year. You can use him as his traditional gadget slot where he gets 2 or 3 carries a game or whatever. But you can't put him back there to return punts. That's for sure.
Do you bring him in and cut ESB? Because it's got to be one. You got to have 1 for 1. If you bring somebody in, somebody's got to go.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's going to be multiple guys that might be moved to IR. So you might not have to cut anyone. Jenkins is almost guaranteed to be on the IR. I mean, if Sewell and someone else goes on there, that's 3 roster spots there opened up. So,
do we know what Jenkins did yet?
He pulled both his calves.
Supposedly he was in a walking boot, though, and he could barely walk, is what the report was when they saw him coming out of the locker room. Does a pulled calf put you in a walking boot?
I want to know how he did it.
Look, we ought to be able to tweet some of these negative reporters and get them to ask the question, how did you get hurt?
We should have you say to ask him.
You say pass on that comment.
You say to want to ask the hard questions? Is that what you're going to say, Joe?
Does not have the stones for that.
Oh, what's that?
It's only due to experience. Only due to experience. I think he could get there for sure.
Herb Howard should ask him. That dude would drop it on him.
But that's a hard question to like look somebody in the eye and how'd you get hurt?
All right, so last year Trent Taylor had 33 returns for 340 yards. That's an average of 10.3. He had 5 returns of over 20 yards.
Wow.
So
we're going to need all the yards we can get if this
pretty good. I saw something about 15 yards. Maybe that was like what he averaged over a certain period of time. But over 10 yards of punt return is really solid. So
very good. Very good.
Now, like I said, I think that's a very easy claim, especially just like I said, you just can't have you bring him in. There's no question that you have your return and you don't have to lose sleep at night about someone muffing a punt anymore. And I say that, and the guy will go out there and probably drop the first punt that's kicked to him. But
I think that's the funniest name for dropping a punt.
A muff.
Yeah. Like, who decided that? Oh, he labiated that punt. What? Oh, he really boxed that one out.
Oh my God.
I don't understand why. This has been the funniest podcast in a long time.
You got to have fun with it.
I can't believe Joe's fat kid, skinny kid.
Do you not feel like that?
This is the funniest analogy I've ever heard. They can stand to skip a few meals. Like, let us have a little bit.
That's how I feel.
Can we eat 2 Green Bay, please?
That's how desperate I'm feeling. Our ribs are showing. We're going to have to eat slowly so that we can actually digest it. But we have to eat this meal.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys need to go through anything else? We went through the roster. Do you know of any other big names that are on waivers, Chris? I mean, I saw Bradley Roby got released. That was surprising. I guess he was an ex-first round pick like 10 years ago.
Here's from Pro Football Network. They have a surprise cut, most notable cut for every team. Okay, Arizona Cardinals, Colt McCoy. Cornerback Natron Brooks for the Falcons. Melvin Gordon for the Ravens. David Quisenberry, tackle for the Bills. Linebacker Deion Jones for the Panthers. Oh, they picked P.J. Walker for us. Raymond Johnson for the Bengals. Offensive lineman Michael Dunn for the Browns. Linebacker Jabril Cox for the Cowboys. Wide receiver Kendall Hilton for the Broncos. Wide receiver Dylan Drummond for the Lions. Punter Pat O'Donnell for the Green Bay Packers. Cornerback Desmond King for the Texans. Wide receiver Mike Strachan for the Colts. Offensive lineman Chandler Brewer for the Jaguars. Shane Buechele for the Chiefs. That's how loaded they are. Quarterback Shane Buechele. Philip Dorsett for the Raiders. John Hightower, wide receiver for the Chargers. Offensive lineman Logan Bruss for the Rams. Wide receiver Robbie Chosen Anderson for the Dolphins. Jojuan Williams, cornerback for the Vikings. Bailey Zappi and Malik Cunningham for the Patriots. Cornerback Bradley Roby for the Saints. Cole Beasley for the Giants. Trey Dean, safety for the Jets. Punter Arian Sipos for the Eagles. Another example why they're loaded. Zach Gentry for the Steelers.
Zach Gentry, no.
Cornerback Deshaun Jameson for the 49ers. Linebacker Ben Burr-Kirven for the Seahawks. Offensive lineman John Molken for the Buccaneers. Chance Campbell, linebacker for the Titans. And lastly, cornerback Rashad Wildgoose for the Commanders.
Was Trent Taylor listed for the Bengals?
He was not. They picked a linebacker for the Bengals. They
didn't
picked
even know what we
Johnson, edge rusher.
Who was Houston's?
Houston's was Desmond King, cornerback Desmond King. King and linebacker Christian Kirksey.
Is that the King that used to play in the Packers?
Yeah.
No, that was Kevin King. Never mind.
Yeah, you're right. The Athletic has like 5 people listed. Philip Dorsett's one. Corey Littleton is the guy for the Texans. Colt McCoy. Nate Peterman for us.
Corey Littleton's a linebacker, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He was a 2-time All-Pro back in 2018, in 17 and 18. Peterman for us, Bradley Roby for the Saints, Jalen Smith also for the Saints.
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
then Bailey Zappi, which Bailey Zappi that's pretty surprising.
All right, so as much as I am surprised that the Bears are keeping Bajan as their QB2, the Patriots literally don't have a backup, and they're going into week 1 versus the best defensive line in football.
Yes.
Like, are they going to get Tom Brady out of his retirement ceremony to back up that game, or like, what are they doing?
They're
I get
tanking for Brock Bowers.
I get Zappi was bad, but like,
isn't he a tight end, Joe? What are you talking
about? Bill Belichick is having wet dreams about Brock Bowers coming into his offense next year and doesn't care who dies in the process.
Brock Gronkowski.
Exactly.
Knowing Belichick, he'll draft some linebacker we've never heard of. He's one of the worst GMs I've ever seen. I don't care what anyone says. That guy's an idiot.
He's a genius, dude. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so terrible. Six Super Bowls. Awful GM. Awful.
Dude, look at his drafts.
Who gives a shit? Look at his results.
Yeah, Belichick the coach, not Belichick the GM.
Yeah, but if he's the one putting him on the field, he's also the one drafting him, right? I mean,
what, 9 AFC Championship games?
Didn't he have like the number 1 defense last year too?
Not convincing me. His drafts are horrible.
You're just mad because you live there, dude. It's just like the same way you feel about the Eagles.
They say the same shit here.
I wish we would have those.
You can't draft.
Whatever.
Guy drafts N'Keal Harry over 10 other guys who are going to be all pros every year.
If you give me those results, I'll take the bad drafts.
Hey, he still took.
That's just like saying if you give me Tom Brady, I'll give you all this other stuff.
He didn't take Shea McClellan. I'll tell you that much.
Shea McClellan.
You nailed that one.
Shea McClellan.
Yeah, Chandler Jones, and then later Dante Hightower, an actual linebacker.
A real linebacker?
A real linebacker who had played real competition and won championships.
Championships.
So next week, we are all business. It is Packers week.
Oh, my God.
We got to go over our thoughts for the game.
No.
Whatever happens this week in practice, some injury reports, some claims next week. Maybe we could go over some season-long props to see if you guys like how we feel about any of those.
Under.
Not DJ Moore. DJ
Under.
Moore's only 800 yards.
Is Bagent throwing him the football?
Doesn't matter.
Is Bailey Zappi throwing him the football?
I get throwing the football. I get that. Yep.
What is it like? That's like 57 a game or something like that, or
47. It's not even 50 a game.
That's absurdly low.
Yes, that is insane.
I might be sick next week and the week after.
Lucas, who are you going to get us for our Packers co-host next week?
Nobody. I don't want to talk to any of them.
You say that steak and cheese son of a bitch, and it's over. I'm off this motherfucker.
He's coming on. Dog. Dave's cool. Dave is cool.
No.
We're not having any Packers fans on here. Don't worry.
Not even a little bit, dude.
We're not having Packers fans on here. Don't worry.
I will vomit live on the program.
No Packers fans.
I will vomit too.
All right, Joe. Take us away. Take us the next week.
Bear down, Chicago Bears. Make every play clear the way to victory. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Put up a fight with the might so fearlessly. We'll never forget the way you throw the nation. With your T formation, bear down, Chicago Bears, and let them know why you're wearing the crown. You're the pride and joy of Illinois, Chicago
Bears, bear down.
Bear down.